Kungwa katakari yambukira kuye kuye Beri kwa toyenda makomo arikure Atika ngamwe kwa tabapano tashika Famba irwendo rurefu Ona inyika ye chipiki wayo Shinga iticha shikayo Maritunga mirira ipano tashika Shino tabepano atizo kerishure Ondo zatakarwa takakunda kare kare Shungu zatinazo uona kare kare Tapina mujevembe sotinenge tashika Shino tabepano atizo kerishure Ondo zatakarwa takakunda kare kare.
Thank you. Dairy business in Zimbabwe is growing very well. If you can look at 2009, our dairy sector was producing 37 million liters per year. If we look at the figures for 2023, the dairy sector was at 99.8 million liters of milk. And if we look at the same time last year compared to today, the milk production has grown up by 21%. It shows that the sector is growing. Despite that we are in an El Nino drought situation, but we still have good resilience from our farmers. And this is helping in achieving the 8.9 billion US dollar target of my ministry by 2025.
Yes, the 21% rise. What you contribute? What to that rise?
The rise in the 21% from the dairy sector is caused by a lot of factors. One, genetic improvements. Our dairy farmers are now able to go and invest in good semen and good bulls from the international world. The feed formulation, there's more research and innovation into the food formulation. That means they're now able to give feed with good crude protein content. By so doing, the milk production per animal is also improved. Diseases, we now have qualified people who are manning diseases on our dairy livestock sectors. Now the new irrigation development, revitalization, it goes into dairy. We now have pastures developed specifically for our dairy sector. Not only that, the quality and type of milk impalas. We now have the rotary system, state-of-the-art milk impalas in Zimbabwe. So this is actually caused the dairy sector to increase production.
As a ministry, what strides have you taken to try and alleviate some of the concerns that have been raised by dairy farmers?
I've advised everyone to wait for the mid-budget, mid-year budget, which is going to be there anytime from this week. So that will be an answer to a lot of our farmers' concern. And I think you are quite aware that our farmers are mostly concerned about the 15% VAT taxes, which they think is making them not viable. And we've been looking at it on a more serious note. And our technocrats, I think you have seen the whole livestock department here in Nyanga, they are providing our farmers with the best techniques and technologies of disease control, feed formulation, and other things. So we're right into the dairy value and the revitalization program together with our farmers. From the local things, we want to grow dairy into an export processing industry, where the production will move from our target of 133 million liters to 400 million liters. If we start producing 400 million liters in Zimbabwe, that means we move from producing table milk to industrial milk. That means we'll be exporting. We've in 1990 produced 260 million liters of milk, and we had only 2 processors. Today we are sitting on 15 milk processors in Zimbabwe. If we do figures, that means we have to produce at least 1 billion liters of milk for the industry. And the other thing, we have to look at consumption of milk. On average, Zimbabwean people are consuming 8 liters per person per year, as compared to South Africa, which is consuming 116 liters per individual. Regionally, the average is 25. So we have to educate our people the health qualities and characteristics of our milk. And we have to ask the Minister of Health, the Minister of Education, to introduce milk packages to children, especially in preschools, grade 1 to 3, so that at least they are healthier and we don't have malnutrition in the country. Thank you.
My name is Padamoyo Patience Chedoka, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Zimbabwe Association of Dairy Farmers. Today we are here at Troutbeck Nyanga celebrating the 10th annual general meeting for the dairy farmers. We are excited that we have received such great support from all the value chain stakeholders. Our processors are here, our input suppliers are here, and the dairy farmers are also here. Different scales of dairy farmers are represented, and we are excited that our parent ministry is actually here, and we actually have the deputy minister responsible for livestock in our parent ministry, Honorable Marapira, with us as our guest of honor. And in the conversation that we had today, we had the valuable information being discussed within the dairy value chain, as the industry leaders, captains of industry within the dairy sector were also here with us. We had several conversations that were speaking to sustainability of the dairy value chain. We were also talking about viability and profitability, the policy aspect that actually needs to be addressed, so that we can ensure that we continue to grow the national milk production of Zimbabwe. The national milk production for the half year has actually increased by 20%, and this is alluded to the new entrants that have also joined the dairy farming fraternity, and also the resilience of the existing farmers, where we have been seeing that there is a listening ear from our parent ministry, as the policymakers are also embracing the dynamics that dairy farmers are facing on a day-to-day basis at farm level. And so we are excited because the different stakeholders have been part of the conversation this morning, as we were looking at saying, how do we climate proof our dairy farming industry in Zimbabwe? How do we ensure that farmers are viable? How do we ensure that we reduce our cost of production so that we can be able to participate in the trade arena? Because as Zimbabwe, we have also ratified the African Continent Free Trade Area Agreement, and we are also going to be participating as the dairy value chain, but we need to address our competitiveness. We are also excited that our parent ministry has also supported that there be a research on our competitiveness as the Zimbabwe dairy industry, and we believe that this particular research will speak to the areas that we need to be focusing on, and the policy interventions that will make the conducive environment for the dairy industry to be sustainable for Zimbabwe. So as Zimbabwe Association of Dairy Farmers, we are also projecting that we will hit the target that has been set out by our parent ministry of 115 million liters by the end of the year. It is not an easy season, given the drought, the El Nino drought, current situation that the farmers are facing, but because of the resilience, because of the support that dairy farmers also give get from the processors and the whole array of stakeholders, we believe that we will be able to sustain that milk production and achieve growth even in a very volatile environment. We continue to implore that is we will do our joint submission together with our processors. The farmers are going to also come together and put through the submissions that we have been asked to actually put through at this annual general meeting to ensure that the issues raised are also addressed. So in this moment as ZADF, we know that we are continuing to promote behind the mantra of our parent ministry of food security everywhere and every day. And so we are also saying in terms of milk production, there is a commitment from the farmers to also increase milk production in Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Zimbabwe milk production is actually on the trajectory. We are growing from our record low of 37 million litres in 2009, and now we are almost 100 million litres. Farmers are actually hardworking, are quite zealous in trying to improve production systems, which are actually have been prohibitive in terms of milk growth due to high cost of production and even a lack of properly structured finance for farmers to invest, which also include even tenure systems where farmers are also not yet quite confident to heavily invest in production. But however, we are trying to push our country to become milk sufficient. Maybe in 2 years' time now, since we are almost 100 million, I think by 2 years' time we should have covered around 130 million, which makes our milk sufficient in terms of our table milk. And from our interactions now with our parent ministry, we are also now looking at making it up to 400 million litres for industrial milk, whereby we are saying our processors have a capacity themselves to make sure that they can process around 400 million milk, and we can also even embark on export. Right now, in terms of production, Manicaland province, I can say Manicaland province is actually one of the best provinces in terms of milk production, and I think at the moment it's actually the highest province actually contributing to the national pool because of its climatic conditions. Such areas as Chipinge, even Mutare, where we also have some of our large scale farmers and even our small scale farmers in Chipinge who are actually doing very well. And we also have encouraged them now to graduate from small scale to medium scale. And it's actually happening quite easily in Tare, which is actually quite a good thing. But we are also trying to say they can also improve and do more, or actually taking advantage of their climatic setup, which is actually favorable for dairy animals.